Let's grow together. And now, welcome again, Reverend Martin, for today's talk.
This month, it's been back to the basics, and we've been looking at the first 4 chapters of the Ernest Holmes masterwork, The Science of Mind. And we've discussed the thing itself, the nature of God, the universe, and our place in it. Then we talked about what it does and the way it works. And today, we wrap things up with the most important chapter of all, how to use it. Now, I recently read a blog post by the psychologist Russell Grieger, which deals directly with today's topic, how to use it. And Dr. Grieger writes, "In my clinical practice, I meet people who suffer from just about every imaginable emotional malady: depression, anxiety, addictions, eating disorders, sexual malfunctions, obsessions and compulsions, borderline personality disorders, impulsive acting out, relationship dysfunction, and on and on. And to every single one of my patients, I emphasize how important it is for them to step up to the plate and take responsibility for their recovery. I first help them understand the precise nature and cause of their problems. And then, in the spirit of what psychologist Carl Rogers taught, insight is necessary but not sufficient, I do my best to convince them that to get better, they need to work hard, really hard, not only during our sessions, but also in the days between our sessions. I tell them, the measly 45 minutes you spend with me each week pales in comparison to the hours you spend with yourself, unwittingly rehearsing and practicing your irrational thinking and dysfunctional behavior. I'll do everything in my power to teach you what to do. But if you don't work your therapy every day, you could very well come back to our appointment next week worse rather than better." So, Dr. Grieger says that he never ends a therapy session without giving the patients a homework assignment. It might be reading a book, or practicing a new behavior, or filling out worksheets. Dr. Grieger says it never fails that when patients work their therapy every day with vigor and focus, they get better. And the same dedication to work applies to creating happiness. All the wonderful happiness strategies in the world will be for naught unless you are willing to use them to bring happiness into your life. If you work them, life will get better. If you don't, it won't. It's that simple. And then Dr. Grieger quotes Robert Schuller's great statement, "If it's going to be, it's up to me." Now that is such a comprehensive statement of truth that I'm tempted to just stop this talk right here and right now. But I suppose we should consider what action means, and more specifically, what divine right action means. In this 4th chapter, How to Use It, Ernest tells us one of the great difficulties in the new order of thought is that we are likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice. As a matter of fact, we only know as much as we can prove by actual demonstration. And that which we cannot prove may or may not be true, but that which we can prove certainly must be and is the truth. As Emerson told us, an ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. But when everything is said and done, usually more is said than done. Jesus said, "Be doers of the word and not hearers only." And most of us know more than we do. It's like the fellow who was going from farm to farm, trying to sell books on modern agricultural techniques. And one old farmer asked the salesman, "Why do I need this book? I've been farming for years." And the salesman replied, "Well, don't you see, if you read this book, you'll get up to date with all the latest farming techniques." And the farmer scratched his chin and muttered, "Well, heck, I ain't doing half of what I know to do now." Are you looking for more theory without practicing what you already know? Do you chase after the latest metaphysical craze or guru, thinking that maybe, just maybe, this book will be the book or the video that will give you a shortcut to a better life? I did that for years. I'd read a book and it was really interesting, and then you get to the part where it said, "Now put the book down, take out a piece of paper, make 2 columns, etc., etc., etc." I would just turn the page. That stuff is for chumps. So I was always thinking there might be another book that would fix me without me having to do any work. But theory is only good if we can apply it. And that's especially true in metaphysics, because if we can't apply it, we're just like a bunch of stoners sitting around saying, "Ooh, far out." We must do more, Ernest says, than just announce a principle. In other words, it's no good to say, "There are no sick people. There is no poverty," etc. We know the saying, "Put your money where your mouth is." We need to put our action where our theory is. Now, if you think about it for a minute, the ancient Egyptians could have made Cadillacs, and the ancient Greeks could have made TVs, and the Romans could have made iPads. We have no scientific principles that they didn't. We have no raw materials that they didn't have. The point is that every great manifestation of life, every leap forward in the evolution of human achievement, awaits the brave souls who are willing to step beyond theory into application. As Holmes said, what we believe may or may not be the truth, but we'll never find out until we prove it to our own satisfaction. And furthermore, Ernest says that it's been proved that by thinking correctly and with a conscious mental use of law of mind, we can cause it to do definite things for us through us. Now, the important word in that statement, it can do definite things for us, through us. The important word there is through. It can do definite things for us only through us. There's no other way for us to use it. Jesus said, "No man comes to the Father but by me." And what that means is that we access God or Spirit or creative mind through ourselves. We cannot access the divine through someone else, priest, guru, channeled entity, or whatever. There may be many paths to enlightenment, but without exception, we must travel the path on our own. And while we're doing that, we've got to get our thoughts into alignment with reality. A woman came to me a few years ago after the service and said, well, you know, that was a good talk and you had some interesting ideas. And those things, I'm sure, work in the spiritual world. But in the real world, well, the real world is the spiritual world. There's no difference between the two. When we're dealing with real life, with thoughts, impulses, emotions, etc., we are dealing with causation, with original cause, and we should be most careful how we deal with such powers and forces. Real life is causation. Without causation, there is no life. The effects of our lives are simply our use of that one power. And as Troward told us, trained thought is more powerful than untrained thought. And so, the better we get at using our powers of mind, the more careful we must be. Like any other power, electricity, hydraulics, atomic power, the mightier the power, the more mindfully we should use it. Ernest says that we're dealing with a fluent force. Fluent meaning flowing or fluid. Spirit, you know, is always in motion. We're dealing with a fluent force. It is forever taking form and forever deserting the form which it has taken. So if you think about it, the only constant in the world of effects is change. And that's why he tells us that a practitioner in this science should never be confused over any given form, but should know that any form which is not of the original harmony must be subject to change. Now, what does that mean in our daily lives? Well, here's an example. God is love. Well, that's part of the original harmony, so that is not subject to change. My boss is a jerk. That is not part of original harmony. It is subject to change. So Holmes tells us we should be able to look a discordant fact in the face and deny its reality, since we know its seeming reality is borrowed from illusion. If it's discordant, it is not of God. And if it's not of God, it possesses no inherent reality, and therefore it is totally changeable. So are you confronted with unpleasant facts? One of my teachers years ago used to constantly say, don't be confused by the facts. They may be facts, but if they're discordant, not in harmony with the divine, they are subject to change. The facts of your life are merely your circumstances in this moment. Facts are not necessarily the truth. It may be a fact that you're having financial problems, but the truth is you live in an infinitely abundant universe, and there is more than enough for everyone. Facts are subject to change, but truth is eternal. So never say, I can't help it, it's just the way things have always been, it's just the way things are. And especially don't say, I can't help it, that's just the way I am. Because when you say I am, whatever comes next is. So we must look at a wrong condition, really look, and know that we can change it. Now, this is not about ignoring situations, hoping they will somehow go away. This is confronting things and working through them. And this knowing comes through the application of our knowledge. Remember that there's no big or small in God, but sadly, there is in us. And I think that is what Jesus was trying to teach us when he said, if you have the faith of a grain of mustard seed, you can move mountains. Now, that statement of truth boggles our minds because we've decided that the mustard seed is tiny and the mountain is huge. But as far as spirit is concerned, they're both the same size. So when we learn to see rightly, we stop being intimidated by tiny and huge. This is why the truth sets us free. It lets us see rightly. A false fact or illusion, once revealed for what it is, can't hide from the light of truth. Remember the Wizard of Oz. Once the great and powerful wizard was exposed, the gig was up. Now, the practice of the science of mind calls for a few things. We'll just talk about three of them. First, living in the spirit of truth. And what is truth? We've established that truth is that which we can prove certainly, that which we can prove certainly must be and is the truth. Secondly, we need a willingness to let this inner spirit of truth to guide us. Listen. And third, knowing that the law is perfect and therefore can be relied upon. And then we must use our thought and do our work definitely and for specific purposes. The more definitely we use the law, the more directly it will respond to us. Be specific. My sister-in-law used to work for a rather large company in the secretarial pool, and the women who worked in the pool were occasionally having wedding showers and baby showers and so on. And it fell to Carol's lot once to get a cake made for an upcoming baby shower. So she went to the bakery to place the order, how big will the cake be and all that stuff. And the last thing the clerk asked was, what do you want on the cake? You know, decor, what do you want on the cake? And Carol said, oh, you know, just baby things. She went back the next week to pick up the cake, and it looked beautiful, and in lovely script right across the top it said, just baby things. We must be specific about what we want. Now remember that conditions are not entities. Entities means beings with an independent existence. Conditions are not entities. We are entities. And that which is conscious can cast out that which has no consciousness. So consciousness always beats unconsciousness. And whatever is not contributing positively to your life, declare that it's not of God, has no power within it, and therefore the only power there is now eliminating this thing from your life. So let's give an example how to reverse poverty. Well, first we would know that the condition can be changed because it's not in alignment with the divine. And then we look at reality, the fact that spirit poses no limitations. There's more than enough in this universe for everyone, and all good is being freely offered to us all the time. And therefore, this apparent limited condition of poverty has no power in it. It's just an experience of consciousness. Recognize that the law of life is a law of liberty and freedom. State that this law is now operating in your affairs. And if the limitation persists, it's because somehow a limited consciousness persists. Declare that this is not a part of you, that you no longer believe in it, and start replacing that limited consciousness with a realization of plenty and an expectancy of good. Let prosperity become very real as you speak it into existence in your life. And then when you meet a friend or a neighbor who starts moaning about how awful the economy is, refuse to accept the idea. Simply say to yourself, this is not my truth. In the past 60 some odd years, we've spent trillions of dollars to eradicate poverty, and we have very little to show for it. The poverty rate is just about the same now as it was before the war on poverty. Why? Because the poverty consciousness was not changed. So refuse to wallow in negatives. As the saying goes, never wrestle with a pig. You'll both get muddy, but the pig enjoys it. Then that brings us to the question, how long will my demonstration take? Well, Ernest tells us that the truth is instantaneous in its demonstration, taking only such time in its unfoldment as the law of a logical and sequential evolution. It's up to us how long it takes. It's up to us how long we fully accept what we say we believe. And then Ernest says that there's no process of healing, but there is a process in healing. In other words, we're simply uncovering the perfection that is already there. So we're not really healing anything, and therefore no process of healing is involved. But there is a process of changing our thinking in order to allow the perfection of spirit to run rampant. Did you catch that? In order to allow the perfection of spirit to run rampant. That would be an interesting affirmation for you for this upcoming week. I now allow this perfection of spirit to run rampant in my life. Ernest tells us that spiritual mind treatment is an intelligent energy in an invisible world. So we must spend time convincing ourselves of the truth of our treatments. But what if you doubt your ability to effectively treat? Well, don't look for another book or another guru. Apply what you already know, and then remove that doubt. Treatment works not so much on what you think, but on what you know. And then we have to treat until we get results. And here is where it's easy to get discouraged, or at least it can be for me. We were doing a show a number of years ago in Miami Beach, and the fellow who was in charge of the auditorium we were playing in sort of had a snippy attitude about everything. And he said, okay, I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done this, and that's all I'm going to do for today. So if there's anything else that needs to be done, you'll have to do it yourself. I've done enough. Well, sometimes I feel that way. Lord, I've treated days and days on end. I've done enough. But if the negative condition persists, no, I haven't done enough. And when it comes to treatment, by the way, consciousness is more important than technique. It's not the words you say so much as the feeling you invoke. Holmes said if you finish a treatment and you don't feel any different, than you did before the treatment, it probably isn't an effective treatment. Okay, so we've laid down the ground rules. How do I start? By knowing that you are a spiritual being living in a spiritual universe which responds to you with love, working through law. Start by seeing God in everything. Until you see God in all, you don't see God at all. Become an absolutist. Until you love everyone, you don't know love. Until you know the truth for everyone, you don't know truth. The science of mind requires an all-in approach. There's no such thing as sort of practicing the science of mind. Now, this does not mean you've got to become a wild-eyed fanatic, but it does mean that there's no room in this teaching for half-beliefs. We must do the work necessary to become absolutely convinced of the goodness of life and of our ability to receive that good. We've got to be all in. I used to have a plaque hanging over my desk which said, "Until you believe it is, you believe it isn't." Until you believe it is, you believe it isn't. So knowing is automatically going to lead to action if you truly know it. So don't be like the farmer who ain't doing half of what he knows to do now. Blessed are those who do something about what they know. And so Ernest assures us that a new light is coming into the world. A new science, a new religion, and a new philosophy are gradually and rapidly being developed. This is in line with the evolution of the Great Presence, and nothing can hinder its progress. This science is the study of first cause, spirit, the truth, the invisible essence, the ultimate stuff and intelligence from which everything comes, the power back of creation, the thing itself. The thing itself is consciousness in action, and how it works is by means of your work. It does what it does by means of you, through action as you. So how to use it? Just use it. Don't wait for things to happen. Make them happen. Don't wait for the future to unfold. Build your own future. Don't wait for love to show up. Start sharing love. How to use it? Just use it. Honor your Creator, not by waiting for your good to come showering down from on high, but by doing what you can to make your good a reality for yourself, right here, right now, right where you are. Yes, it takes action, work, effort, whatever we wish to call it. But as Leonardo da Vinci said, "O Lord, you give us everything at the price of an effort." Every good thing you want is waiting for you to ask for it, waiting for you to accept it. Every good thing you want also wants you, but you must take action to get it. Take action. That's the only way you'll ever know that it works. We're not interested here in how many angels can dance on the top of a pin or who you might have been in a former life or exactly what your afterlife might be like. We're only interested in theories if they can be used to get results today. Ernest Holmes stated that the science of mind is not based on any authority of established beliefs, but rather on what it can accomplish for those who practice it. What it can accomplish. It does very little good to know if we don't do. As Ernest used to say, inspiration without perspiration is hallucination. The thing itself, what it does, the way it works. Let's use it right now as we affirm this truth. These are the words of our founder, Ernest Holmes. I am a center in the divine mind, a point of God-conscious life, truth, and action. My affairs are divinely guided into right action, into correct results. Everything I do, say, or think is stimulated by the truth. There is power in this word that I speak because it is of the truth and it is the truth. There is perfect and continuous right action in my life and in my affairs. All belief in wrong action is dispelled and made negative. Right action alone has power, and right action is power, and power is God, the living Spirit Almighty. This Spirit animates everything that I do, say, or think. I am continuously directed. I am compelled to do the right thing at the right time, to say the right word at the right time, to follow the right course at all times. All suggestion of age, poverty, limitation, or unhappiness is uprooted from my mind and cannot gain entrance to my thought. I am happy, well, and filled with perfect life. I live in the Spirit of truth, and the Spirit of truth lives in me. My word is the law unto its own manifestation, and will bring to me, or cause me to be brought to its fulfillment. There is no unbelief, no doubt, no uncertainty. I know, and I know that I know. Let every thought of doubt vanish from my mind, that I may know the truth, and the truth may set me free. And so it is. Well, right now I invite you to get very comfortable in your seat. We're going to spend a few moments going within. Take a deep breath or two. Close your eyes, shut out any distractions, and let's spend these next few moments knowing the truth together. God is all there is. God is the Creator, and God is creation. Everything and everyone in the universe is God, expressing as energy and form. I know that I am the product of creative genius, imagined by Spirit and formed out of Spirit's very essence. I was conceived in a moment of divine inspiration, and the same divine inspiration flows through me now, eager to manifest greatly in every area of my life. With this awareness, I consciously choose to open myself up to the influx of divine creativity like never before. I am experiencing life in expanded, innovative, and wonderful ways. I celebrate the new ways that I am allowing God to express as me. I appreciate this divine creativity that courses through me, invigorating me and lifting me to new heights of joy and expression in every aspect of my life. At work, at play, at home, or away, I live the creativity that I am. I am free and joyous as I allow more and more of that unlimited creativity into my experience in every wonderful moment. I give thanks for my infinite and imaginative nature. I am grateful for the new ways that I allow my inner creativity to express outwardly in my life. I am thankful for the wonderful paths on which this creativity leads me. I release my word, backed by feelings of joy and conviction, knowing that the law makes it so, and so it is.